morning and welcome to Relentless Rock Church. Today we continue our discussion on the book of Hosea. So let's turn in our Bibles to Hosea chapter 6, and we're going to be starting with verse 7 as we're going to conclude chapter 6 today. Verse 7. Give you a couple more seconds to get over there and we'll go ahead and get started. But like men, they transgressed the covenant. There they dealt treacherously with me. Men, in this verse, is literally Adam. A place called Adam is known from Joshua chapter 3 verse 16, but no sin or covenant violation is known to have occurred there. The reference is to the first man, Adam. Although the term covenant is not used in Genesis chapters 1 through 3, the relationship between God and the first man is often described as covenantal. The covenant is sometimes called the covenant of works, in which Adam's divinely bestowed life would be maintained in order for for obedience. The significance of Adam's sin for the human race is clarified in Romans chapter 5 verses 15 through 17, and I strongly encourage you to read those verses in Paul's letter. One of Hosea's key themes is that Israel and the broken covenant and that had been broken by the Israelites he had made with them on Mount Sinai in Exodus chapter 19 through 20. This is what this is involving. God wanted to make Israel a blessing and a light to all the nations, as we see in Genesis chapter 12 verses 2 and 3 when he spoke with Abraham. And then again we see it in Isaiah chapter 49 6. And if God's chosen people had obeyed him, and if God's chosen people had proclaimed him to the world, he could give them special blessings. If they broke the covenant, however, they would suffer severe penalties. God was very explicit about this in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 15 through 68. Sadly, the people broke the agreement and proved themselves to be unfaithful to God. We, as individuals, need to ask ourselves, have we broken faith with God? Have we forgotten our promises to serve him? Ponder on that this week. Verse 8. Gilead is a city of evildoers and defiled with blood. As bands of robbers lie in wait for a man, so the company of priests murder on the way to Shechem. Surely they commit lewdness. Let me point out that Gilead was once a sacred place, but here we see it as corrupt. Shechem was once a city of refuge designated by Joshua in Joshua chapter 20 verses 1 through 8. Gilead was a region that included Ramoth, also a city of refuge. At this time that we're reading about, these areas were associated with murder and crime, with bands of evil priests lying in wait to murder travelers passing through the territory. Verse 10, I have seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. There is the harlotry of Ephraim. Israel is defiled. Also, O Judah, a harvest is appointed for you when I return the captives of my people. What we see here is judgment is approaching Judah as well. And it's described as a coming harvest because the people were growing ripe with wickedness. The phrase return the captives means that God would restore the fortunes that were lost when Judah went into captivity. So that Judah would not become proud as they saw the northern kingdom's demise and destruction, Hosea interjected a very solemn warning about God's harvest. God's temple was in Jerusalem, in Judah, and the people thought what had happened in Israel would certainly never happen to them. But when they became utterly corrupt, they too were led off into captivity, as we see in 2 Kings chapter 25. Amen and amen. Thank you for tuning in with us this week, and may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His countenance shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. Amen.